Hello and welcome to a quick update on my 3D printing. If you've been following my channel, you might have noticed I've got a lot of zombicide and massive darkness stuff going on. So I've been doing some 3D printing. Well, before I get into that, I did print myself a base for this classic Citadel miniature. It's actually an insert that drops into the base. Yeah, it's pretty basic, but it works quite nicely. I'm quite impressed with that. In my other videos, you might have seen various nice pieces. So the bone pile. I think I might have shown the bookshelf before, and I've done a large trapdoor. So very useful for obviously zombicide. Kind of dungeoneering and zombicide, a little tomb. Didn't quite print properly. My spool ran out of stuff, so it didn't finish off the lid. So I've just glued a little bit of paper on top, and then probably going to go around with a little bit of green stuff just to finish that off. You might have seen this. This is Printable Scenery's rather lovely trebuchet, which will be really useful for the Green Horde, etc. Fairly generic door, so to complement the ones that came with Massive Darkness, you've got this little door that can open and shut, so very nice. It's super glued in. And then my new little project, I'm starting to work on this Printable Scenery open lock system. Now there is some open lock stuff available on Thingiverse, which is in theory compatible with this. Now if you look carefully, you might just about see the exterior of a little cottage, and the texture might not show up on here, but that is actually a wooden floor for like the inside of a cottage. So the idea is I might be able to build myself a little freestanding cottage, which obviously your minis can then stand in, and each square roughly takes one mini. So potentially you could build a nice large 3D board or RPG setup or whatever. So I'm going to print a few straight bits off a door, a couple of freestanding tiles, and build up a nice big room, preferably one big enough to take one of these. So it's going to be at least 4 of these tiles, and of course you can decorate it with stuff, and even potentially get a nice door going, etc. And if it's big enough, you could even put some stones in, although the problem with the bones and the stone type bases is how easily are the minis going to sit on them, and it's not too bad. I might have printed this at fast speed rather than high quality speed. We'll see how we do. So anyway, due to the fact I've run out of PLA, I'm actually going to fit my second PLA, and this is what actually came with my ANET printer. It seems reasonable. It's not the best quality stuff, but it's not bad. So I bought 2 rolls. So all of this stuff you've seen that's printed out was actually printed with this PLA gold camel 3D filament, and it works pretty well. One thing I am finding, if I print stuff on a bed, a little bit of tidy up to be done. So this one, for example, I didn't print on a bed, and I've got a nice flat bottom, but I don't know, big things like this seem to print okay without a bed. Stuff like this I did actually print on a bed, and I'm pleased to say I was able to scrape off the filament quite nicely with a sharp X-Acto blade. But yeah, really happy with how things are going. Quality wise, seem to be getting much more consistent results now I've let the system bed in, tightening it up, and just by experimenting. I got loads more 3D printed stuff kicking around. Another little project I'm working on is my DIY copy of Dune, so I might be printing off some little kind of miniature meeples that I've discovered online to replace the wooden blocks that I've currently got. So that's a little project I might work on. I'm also looking at maybe doing nice 3D tokens for the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle game, because some of the cardboard tokens are not really quite up to scratch. So there you go. Well, I've been doing a little bit of printing of random objects now. Some of the bits you've got out here you've seen before. For example, I think you might have seen the skull where it jammed and melted the top, so I'm going to have to green stuff or get a flame print and kind of glue it on top there. There's also the mentions of Madness pieces, and I'm pretty sure I've shown you quite a few of these bits before. Now, I've got some Fat Dragon tiles. I haven't really printed too many of these. I believe he's about to have another Kickstarter, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out there. I also got some Tilescape stuff. A few bits are still trickling out. I believe they've got another Kickstarter lined up for a sort of miniature line of bits, and you know, they've proven they can do some quite nice miniatures in the past. I've also got a load of Thingiverse stuff, so these files here, this is also the same file, so that's actually the same piece, just printed at different scales. There's also a really nice Zombicide door, so if you've been watching my channel you might have noticed I had Zombicide and Massive Darkness, and this is very similar to the actual official doors. So it's nice that I don't have to print out as many of these as I thought, because I've got the doors, but I can always make more with these. And I've actually put a teeny little green blob here which you can barely see. So that's that. I've produced some 40k bits, and I've sort of been mucking around a bit. So I also printed out a base for my ancient Citadel figure as well, so I was pleased to get that finally based. But I've also got printable scenery stuff, so if I remember correctly, these are printable scenery, so this piece is pretty much finished. This one might need to do a couple of touch-ups too, and it uses the open lock system. So I'm pleased to say on Thingiverse someone has actually produced some open lock compatible kit, and in fact you can actually potentially combine this stuff with open lock as well, particularly as it's a fairly similar sort of scale, so it's going to be interesting to see how you can do that. So obviously, as you can see, I've got quite a few dungeon tiles, so printed off a load of dungeon furniture, some of which I think you've seen before. Now Rampage also produces this lovely item which I'm planning on using in Green Horde when it comes out. Now obviously I am going to get a proper plastic one, but it's nice to have options to make extras. And this was a little bit of a pain to print because this bit snapped when I was removing the supports that are underneath. I also decided to clip down this handle a bit to make it a little bit safer from getting snapped. Now Rampage actually has a Kickstarter currently running which has got some really cool sci-fi bits which I'm very excited by because of Necromunda coming back. It's also got some nice fantasy stuff as well. Other random dungeon bits, you know, the bone piles and little sacks and things like that. So that's my big project, the kind of dungeon stuff. The other stuff I'm doing is game enhancement. So I managed to find these Gringotts coins. So I'm actually thinking of using these instead of the official tokens in Harry Potter's Hogwarts Battle. So I think I got 25, 26 of these. Now I did have a bit of a problem with trying to get stuff off. Having struggled for ages with bed adhesion, I'm now finding actually my printer with this new PLA that I've got the opposite problem. The bed adhesion is so strong I can rarely get stuff off the bed without ripping up all the masking tape, which I'm still using. I am considering going for a glass update. I'm hearing that's meant to be really, really good as an upgrade. I did have problems as well with my printer where it would just randomly stop printing. I think it was maybe a little bit of an issue with the power supply, with too much current draw for the heated bed, so I've twiddled with the settings a bit. Seems to be working reliably again now, and I've actually started using a raft to make getting stuff off the bed easier, in particular for stuff like this with its fine points. Now this is a round base shrunk down with a flash symbol, and that's going to be the other marker for Harry Potter's, so I'm actually going to end up with lots of nice 3D tokens. And then I've got a secret little project using this kind of Chinese, Japanese style coin. Now, I did have a problem finding a coin that I actually wanted. I found a better version of this coin, but it just wouldn't render properly in my slicer software, and as such I had to bin it. So I've gone with this just plain blank piece, which will do for the purposes I've got planned for these. So there you go. So that's pretty much an update on what's going on. So the big projects are obviously board game upgrades and doing dungeon tiles with either Fat Dragon, Tilescape, or my current choice, printable scenery. And again, if you watch my Zombicide video, you'll probably work out that this is to maybe do 3D boards with Zombicide and Massive Darkness, hence the need for all the decoration to go in your dungeon as well. So all sorts of nice cool bits. I'm really pleased by these barrels. They work great. In fact, I'm finding anything wood works really well in 3D print, and little bookcase as well. Anyway, there you go. As you can hear, I've got a print job going, which is actually to get the rest of these tokens, and then once that's done, it's on to various dungeon tiles, and probably mostly these to start with. And then I'm wanting a street upgrade, which I believe there is an open lock street set, because I'm not sure there's too many streets from the official printable scenery right now, but you can use open lock to do that. Alternatively, I could get the Fat Dragon tiles and combine them with the open lock, and that way probably get a workable solution. So there you go, that's that. Well, just to wrap up then, I hope you enjoyed that quick look at the various bits and pieces I've been printing. And as you can see, printers whirring away quite reliably again. I've actually got it set to have a hot bed and a hot extruder for the first 4 layers. It then drops the temperature of both for subsequent layers. And I've also, as I mentioned in the video, gone with a raft, and it seems to be working quite well for me. Quite happy with the results, and it's printing reliably 2-3 hours at a time. I haven't tried going beyond that just now, but previously I was having it randomly stop 10 minutes to an hour into the print. Very, very frustrating, and I got a few wasted bits. And while I'm over by the printer, some other bits I didn't show you are bases. I also tried printing some 15mm figures. I also printed some little figures for my DIY June, and they didn't work quite so well. But there you go. And my huge amount of waste continues to grow. In particular, for example, this is a failed print job here. At some stage I'm going to turn that into scenery related debris. But yeah, there you go. And just to remind you, it's the plain old transparent PLA that I got with the ANET when I ordered the kit from GearBeast. Anyway, until the next video, take care now.